So how many of you wish that you could be on vacation right now? I know that that's a thought that I perpetually have in my head, and putting this list together definitely felt very sentimental and very exciting at the same time because I imagined myself being on vacation. And as a matter of fact, a lot of these vacation fragrances reminded me of previous vacations that I've been on. So I'm excited to give you my top 10 favorite vacation fragrances, so make sure to stay tuned. Now, before I begin this list and I tell you what my top 10 favorite vacation fragrances are, and by the way, this is a tag video. I've been tagged to do this video. I'm going to let you know who tagged me in just a second. I do want to mention that if you are a fan of fragrance-related content, if you like fragrance reviews just like this, or top 10 videos, I should say, giveaways, unboxings, special guests, and more, please do consider supporting this channel by subscribing to it. All you have to do is click on that red button in the corner. And of course, while you're at it, make sure to enable notifications by clicking on the bell icon. This way, whenever I do put out these videos, they will get delivered straight to your feed. You never need to worry about missing any of my future uploads. So, top 10 favorite vacation fragrances / perfumes. This is actually a tag video, and I was tagged to do this by Tyler from Simply Fragrances. Thank you so much for the tag, my friend. I really appreciate it. I'm going to leave a link to his video down below and also a link to his channel down below. So definitely make sure to check him out. He has a lot of really good content coming out. And these are fragrances that either A, I look forward to wearing on vacation, B, I have worn on vacation in the past, or C, I feel fit within that genre where they would be really appropriate for a vacation. And some of these I've had for a very long time, and that's indicative of the level of juice in the bottle. And some of these I purchased recently, either because they just came out in the year 2021, or maybe I'm saving them for a special vacation. So I'm excited to get on with this list. And lastly, I want to mention that I will be tagging somebody else to do this video. So please make sure to stay tuned until the very end of the video so you know if you've been tagged. So with that being said, I want to start off with my number 10, and this one by the company Dolce & Gabbana is called Light Blue Sun. Now, I believe this came out in 2019. Don't quote me. I know last year's flanker was Love is Love, which is a little bit fresh and fruity. This one has coconut and salt. So it's a very salty suntan lotion kind of a fragrance for men. A really pleasant twist of the light blue DNA, which we all know gets a lot of compliments, is a tried and true fragrance, and one that many a man have enjoyed for however many years it's been around. So excellent fragrance. I actually really enjoy this one, and I also really like Love is Love as well. The next one that I want to talk about is by Tom Ford, and this is the brand new 2021 Costa Azzurra. Now, the fragrance itself is not brand new because the original came out many years ago, part of the blue line with Mandarino di Amalfi and Neroli Portofino. But the reason why I put this in this list is because, one, it reminds me of being on vacation. And I should have prefaced this video by saying that because I work in education, my vacations are most often taken in the summertime. Spring break would be the only other time when I can actually take a reasonable vacation. But Costa Azzurra actually reminds me a lot of Calvin Klein's Crave, which is a fragrance that I purchased at duty free in 2003 when I went on vacation to Greece with my brother. And whenever I smell that fragrance, it always reminds me of less stressful times. Very unique composition with this starfruit note. But in any case, Costa Azzurra, fantastic citrus-based fragrance for the summertime and for like a summer holiday, tropical vacation, what have you. The next one I put a significant dent in, this one by the company Hermes, you can tell how much I've worn, is called Un Jardin sur le Nil. And this is a classic. This is a favorite of mine. So glad I purchased this one. It translates to a garden on the Nile, and it's very bright, fresh, citrusy, herbal, aromatic. It has mango and tomato leaf, really unique fragrance. I actually wore this on a vacation that I took to Canada with my wife and my father-in-law, and every time I smell it, it reminds me of vacationing in Canada. Go figure. The next one by BDK Parfums is called Citrus Riviera. Now, this is a very bright, citrus-heavy fragrance, but there is also an aromatic component in this one as well. And the reason I say that is because it reminds me of Mandarino di Amalfi by Tom Ford, part of the private blend line. And that fragrance contains a very unique note known as shiso, and this one has a similarity to it. So I'm inclined to say there's something aromatic in here, whether it be basil or bay leaf or shiso, or some other ingredient possibly related to that. Very unique fragrance, so it's not plain and linear. It's not all about the citrus, as the name would imply, Citrus Riviera. It's actually quite a complex fragrance, and of course it's inspired by the French Riviera. So the next fragrance on this list comes from one of my favorite brands, and this one by Navitus Parfums is called Oceania. So this one came out towards the former part of 2020, so it goes without saying I wore this one a lot in the summer of 2020. It actually made my #1 spot in my top 10 summer niche fragrances video for 2020. And let me tell you something, I wore this one last Friday when I was visiting a friend's house, and it got so much stronger. I couldn't believe it. And Navitus Parfums is, you know, tantamount with well-performing fragrances, upwards of 10 hours, 12 hours, what have you, especially if you go for some of the darker ones like Amber Oud or Parfum de la Nuit 1, 2, Diaghilev, but this one performs really well. It's a citrus-dominant fragrance with a really cool initiative attached to it, and it also has this really smooth, clean, white floral heart. I absolutely love it, and it's a really nice change of pace, especially if you're used to wearing Elysium or Bergamot or some of these other fresh offerings from the house of Navitus Parfums. The next fragrance that we're talking about here, we're going from the UK to Italy. This one by Antonio Croce is called Meraviglia. And Meraviglia translates to marvel or marvelous, and that's exactly what this fragrance is. It has this spellbinding combination of orange blossom and African orange flower. It has a lot of floral citrusy components, petitgrain, neroli. It's very bright, very alluring and effervescent, and it's also very, very long lasting. And that's something that can be said about a lot of fragrances by Antonio Croce, whether we're talking about this one, Perfetta, Unica, and several others, and I've had the pleasure of trying them all, and I can say this one is fantastic, and that whole house is quality. And by the way, this was composed by an Italian perfumer, Paolo Terenzi, who has his own line of fragrances called Tiziana Terenzi, and another line called Cinque Canto, so you might be familiar with those as well. So the next fragrance on this list, the #4 spot, you knew I was going to include a Creed at some point, right? So this one is Creed Erolfa. And this one is a little bit more underrated, if you will. This one was actually inspired by a sailing trip that the royal family, or the Creed family took, excuse me. And so the ER stands for Erwin, the OL stands for Olivia, and FA stands for Fabian. And this one is very fresh, and I imagine being on a yacht every time I wear this one. It's aesthetically similar to Millésime Imperial, but I find this one to not have too strong of that ambergris quality, and so it's not as salty as Millésime Imperial, and I find this to be a little bit heavier on the citrus, and it also has this smooth, creamy base. I really, really enjoyed this one. And of course, you know, I've worn Millésime Imperial on vacation so many times, so eventually there does come a time when you have to retire it, right? The next fragrance that I want to talk about is a new acquisition of mine, and that's because it came out only in 2021. This one by the company Michael Malul London, part of the Couture line, is called 140 Blue. And this one is also kind of aesthetically similar to Erolfa and Millésime Imperial and those types of fragrances. I perceive a little bit of ambroxan in the base. There's this minty thing going on in the opening, I think on account of like a eucalyptus note, but it opens up very citrusy. It has that bright, effervescent introduction. It also has apple, pomelo, neroli, a lot of citrus ingredients in this one too, and I'm really, really enjoying this one. I know there's also patchouli and amber in the base, but I feel like the freshness is retained all the way throughout the composition, and so I especially look forward to wearing this one in place of Millésime Imperial or Erolfa. Not to say that they smell too similar to one another, but as far as genre or olfactive classification is concerned, I would say they fall under the same genre. Also, if you are interested in picking up anything from the brand Michael Malul from their official website, you may use the code Steven or the code Redolessence, and that guarantees that you get the best discount possible on your Michael Malul purchase. So information is going to be down below. Definitely make sure to check it out. Now, the next fragrance I'm really, really excited to wear on some vacation this year. I don't know when it's going to be, spring break or summer. I don't know what the restrictions are going to look like in my part of town. But this one is a newer acquisition of mine as well. And that's also one of the reasons why I'm really looking forward to wearing this one on vacation. This one by the company Nishane is called Egge. or Egeo. So it has the Turkish name and the Greek name on it, Ege or Egeo. And this one is inspired by the Aegean Sea, which hits close to home, literally and metaphorically speaking, because I am of Greek descent. The perfumer for this fragrance is also Greek, Elias Hermenides, and this is a very bright, fresh, culinary, aromatic type of a fragrance. It's also spicy at times too. It has cardamom in there, it has basil, it has mint, it has yuzu in the opening, which is an Asian citrus ingredient if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know what the rationale was in using that, but I actually had to spray this one today just to remind myself what it smells like, because I've purposely been saving this for the hotter weather, and it's in the 40s today. This one is amazing, absolutely amazing. The basil, that culinary quality, the freshness, the mint, it's so inviting, but it's also so unique at the same time. And that's one of the things that I really love about a lot of these fragrances, whether we're talking about Egeo or Meraviglia or Oceania, is that they're so unique and they're not plain, they're not linear, they're not fashioned in a simplistic way. They have a level of complexity about them. Yeah, and this one is no exception. So, and another reason why I look forward to wearing this one is because I've never worn it on vacation before. And a lot of times what I like to do is I like to choose a fragrance that I've never worn before. This way, whenever I do smell it months in the future, I will associate that smell with that particular vacation or that chapter of my life. And so I definitely look forward to doing that with this fragrance. I'll be in North Carolina in April, so maybe I'll bring it with me. And the number one fragrance, you know what, let's talk about an honorable mention first. Acqua di Gio Profondo is a good honorable mention, especially if you're looking for an inexpensive designer fragrance that is guaranteed to get you compliments, that leans on the citrusy side, and that also utilizes a DNA that is tried and true, because it's not a strong deviation from the original Acqua di Gio from the mid-90s, but this one has mastic oil. It also has a bit more of a citrusy overtone, and so I think this one is a really good vacation fragrance. And that's an Alberto composition, Alberto Moria's composition, and coincidentally the number one fragrance is also an Alberto Moria's composition, not by the house of Giorgio Armani. This one is by Versace, and you can tell that I've worn a lot of this fragrance too. This one by Versace is called Versace Porom. This one is so clean and fresh and citrusy, and I will say I do think that every gentleman out there should have a bottle of this in his collection. And it's not a far-fetched thing to do. It's actually very inexpensive. It can be found at discounters. I'm going to leave a link to it down below if I can find a bottle of this for a really good price, which I know I can. But it's this very clean, citrusy, aromatic, very pleasant and enjoyable compliment getter type of a fragrance, masterful composition. I love wearing this one on vacations, and it's one I'm going to be wearing a lot more in the summertime too. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in. These have been my top 10 favorite vacation fragrances. And of course, a very special thank you to Tyler from Simply Fragrances for tagging me to do this video. I really do appreciate it. Once again, his information is going to be down below as well. And at this point, I would like to take the time to tag a fellow fragrance reviewer here on YouTube, Sebastian from the channel Smelling Great Fragrance Reviews. I really hope you have the opportunity to do this tag video if you haven't already done it, and also if you haven't done a similar video to this on your channel already. But even then, it would be nice to see an updated video if you're up for the challenge. And so I really enjoy your channel. I hope you can find the time to do this video. So thanks again, everyone, for tuning in. These have been some of my favorite vacation fragrances for men or for women, I suppose. If you own or have tried any of these fragrances, let me know what you think. Leave a comment down below. Also, please don't forget to support this channel. If you did take something of value from this video, all you have to do is click on that red button in the corner. And while you're at it, make sure to enable notifications by clicking on the bell icon. Thanks again for watching. Love you all. We'll see you next time.